It started. Okay. Hey, it says we're live. Oh my God. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's our first actual live broadcast of the year. I got Dr. Producer Suzanne with me. Of course, I'm Glenn Haussman. Happy 2025 to all of you out there. But I'm dealing with all sorts of problems today. Suzanne, I woke up this morning and my laptop didn't want to turn on. First time in a 30-year career, I'm having a laptop meltdown on the road. How crazy is that?
I like how your problems become my problems, and we're like 3,000 miles apart today.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, so yeah,
it's going to be a great you. You got your haircut, so we are in the right direction.
I'm looking awfully military over here or something like that. I don't know what's going on. I think my lovely hair attendant Rosa over at the Supercuts, she got a little too excited, but my fault, you know. I'm like, go for it, baby. And
it might be a 2025 trend. They did the same thing to my son, and let's just say starting off school this week was like, no, I'm not going. I lost too much hair.
Yeah. Well, good news is I've got room to grow on for the Alice conference coming up in a couple of weeks, and I hope to see all of you there at LA Live. Should be a really great event. But I do want to say this year starting off with a great hotel stay and a not so great hotel stay, Suzanne. I'm here at a hotel that is not to be named, and
you're protecting the
well, because I'm going to say something negative, and I'm not going to throw the name under the bus. Yep. That just seems inappropriate and rude. So the hotel I'm in right now, fortunately, I paid the extra $20 for a balcony upgrade because I'm a balcony freak, right? But the HVAC unit in here doesn't get the K part. It's only the H part of it. So I come into the room at 74 degrees. I'm like, I'll knock it down to 68. So I turn on the air conditioner. It starts blowing out hot air. I'm sure it'll fix itself in a minute or two, right? Because that's what happens. So I'm like, no problem. I leave. I go down. I go downstairs to the lobby area for a little while, hang out, come back upstairs. My room is now 84 degrees. So it didn't really cool off very nicely. So fortunately, I'm in Lake Tahoe region, so it's cold out here. So I opened up the balcony window doors and I let the 30-degree weather go ahead and kind of equalize it. So at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I had to keep opening up the door and closing it to try to make it cooler.
See, my dogs do that to me. They wake me up to let them go to the bathroom, and then I just leave the door open the rest of the night. And in Florida right now, like it was 41 degrees this morning. So
wow.
Not gonna lie, it was really cold, but I actually get a better night's sleep when I can fall back to sleep after they've woken me up. Just
that is not good. And I also want to thank this hotel for all the mold in the shower because it made for great company. I had something to talk to while I was in there.
Listen, Glenn, I think we need to focus on how we can find a better sense of well-being. And I think today's guest can point us in the right direction.
I agree with you. And I love your transition, but I got to give a great hotel shout out to the folks over at Dream Inn down there in Santa Cruz. Great hotel. Everybody should check it out. It's a 60-year-old building, maybe 61, 62 years old at this point. I don't know. It didn't tell me its birthday. And they did a really great job at taking an old piece of infrastructure, creating a modern facility, probably about 15 years ago out of it, and sticking with mid-century modern surfer motif, and it works fantastic. Everybody check it out. They're a pillar of sustainability. They've really got it figured out. The service is great. The people are great. And I want to thank Christy Allen and all the folks over at Ensemble for asking me to deliver a keynote and host some stuff at their annual conference earlier this week, the first one ever. So it was an honor to be a part of that. And then I got to look at some redwood trees, and that brings us up to us today. Susie, I want to be happy. I want employees to be happy. And I'm seeing this title, Chief Happiness Officer, pop up a lot over the last few years. And I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So today we have my colleague down at Florida International University, Dr. Sandro Formica, joining us today.
Hi.
Hey, how are you, sir? Great to see you today. So, Chief Happiness Officer, it seems like a lot of pressure to be happy all the time because I also mostly walk around in a state of depression unless I'm on air.
Well, it depends on the pressure. Actually, the beautiful thing of the U.S. Constitution is that the preamble of it says it talks about the pursuit of happiness. You don't have to be happy all the time. Also, because you'd be crazy if you would be happy all the time.
Totally.
Happiness
man.
is actually,
Sandro, there's no such thing as being happy all the time. Happiness is always a fleeting thing. Yes, Mr. Cards, we are live. I'm happy to say. Yeah. So, being happy all the time is just not realistic. I also think it's not a realistic goal in life to think that you could achieve permanent happiness. I think the point is to try to create a lifestyle where you could be happier. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about creating happiness in the workplace, aren't we, Sandro?
That's correct. We need to start always from the concept itself and making sure that there is no misunderstanding, because actually happiness has three major components. Apart from the component, the emotional one of joy, there is a commitment part of it and a purpose and a meaning part of it. So these are the ones that make it sustainable over time. So we can do it at the individual level as well as the organizational level.
Right.
And so from an organizational standpoint, Sandro, I think one of the things that I'm seeing in a lot of businesses in coming off of the pandemic and continuing to work and bring the right players on, we've had a lot of folks that have exited. There's been a lot of quiet quitting. We're now trying to maybe in 2025 rewrite our ship, if you will. And so how can we think about that from an organizational standpoint and a structure of incorporating a better sense of well-being and culture and happiness into what we're doing?
You see, Suzanne, the interesting thing is that one of the biggest challenges is to have the academic world reach out to the industry and connect more. Why? Because there have been hundreds and hundreds of studies with specific positive organizational interventions that were actually carried out in organizations that have solved this type of problems. So the interesting thing here is just that we need to start integrating these interventions in a way that will provide us with more certain results, because this is a business where risk is there. But when we know that one intervention has been tested over and over again, and we get results in terms of retention, trust, engagement, AI and well-being, work flexibility, selection and onboarding, mental health and well-being, talent acquisition and development, all these problems of the industry or objectives of the industry can definitely be handled with positive organizational interventions.
That is awesome. And you've got to get in there and you've got to make sure all your people are happy. And Dr. Formica, one of the things that I was talking about at this keynote that I delivered the other day was really focusing on how to keep those employees engaged, how to keep them happy, and how to keep them moving forward in their careers. And one of the things I talked about is how important like a stay interview is. And I don't think anybody really does that in large numbers. I mean, obviously, certain people and companies are doing that, but I think that's one area on which you could really find out what's going on and solve a lot of problems before it turns into apathy and people quitting.
Well, there are so many things that can be done from the beginning. Let me give you an example. When you start or use tools in the hiring process and onboarding process, such as values or needs, I have not met an organization where they collect what are the top 3 emotional needs or psychological needs, and they are very practical. I'm talking about, I have a need for success, I have a need for collaboration, I have a need for play, I have a need for growth, and we don't ask them. Not only that, what is the percentage of satisfaction of those needs, and who did you charge to meet those needs? Because very often those needs are met by someone else in the organization. So if we do not know the basics of our employees, how can we expect them to be happy and satisfied?
Correct.
Because maybe we are giving them challenges when they want ease. So my point here is, first, let's get to know them at a deeper level. And I'm talking about needs, but what about values? We don't know what's important to them until we asked, and then ask them, how many of your tasks at work are aligned with your values? Because if they are not aligned, you cannot be happy or satisfied no matter what.
So, Sandro, this sounds like a great opportunity to start thinking about, how do you, as the manager or an HR professional, start thinking about this mindset and shift? And I think one of the great things that you are putting on at our program at the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management is a Chief Happiness Officer certification program. So maybe you could explain a little bit about how your knowledge and skill set translate into an opportunity for people to learn this sense of mentality to help their employees.
Well, I was very lucky to start as hotel GM in my 20s, mid-20s. So
yeah, well, hold on. Don't bury the lead. He was 25 and a GM in Italy, the youngest one to achieve that position. I just found this out, and I'm blown away by that. What an
I'm going to interject. The only one that wasn't a GM at the age of 25, even including our fill-in producer today, would be nobody. Like Sandro and I are the two that did it at 25.
That's insane. Well, you two were very impressive. At age 50, I still wasn't allowed to run the Haussman Resort Pool Club. And I've only got a part-time tent in the backyard. So not good for me, but impressive for you. So obviously you've understood the tenets of creating a successful and happy workplace from early on, if you had so much success. So that brings us back up to today, filling the needs of your program.
Right. I mean, we tend, not to consider that people bring themselves with themselves at work, and we need to start thinking about that and saying, what can I do to know this person better? What is true inside of them? And we need to start making a connection here. I mean, if you go to and read the Harvard Business Review, how many articles are talking about self-awareness? And if you cannot be a good leader if you are not self-aware. How to work for a leader who is not self-aware, and how the challenge is how to deal with those challenges. So my point here is, let's go back to the basics here and make them very practical, by the way, because when I talk about starting from the being, means that we need to start doing something related to that. And the example of the needs, as well as the one of the values, it's very simple. Your values are aligned with ours, yes or no? Because if not, then it's a problem. You won't be able to collaborate or offer value to the company. The company wouldn't offer value to you in the first place. So the Chief Happiness Officer program, this was basically created because of a need in the industry. And our industry, we all know, has issues with retention. And therefore, we understand, especially post-COVID, that people do not get a job just to get the money to survive, but they want to attach a meaning to that job. Okay, so the issue is, when you get to meaning, you get to purpose. There is no other way around it. And so how can you build purpose while working? And so these are the elements that we are going to work on with the Chief Happiness Officer program. And in fact, this is the first competency. The first competency is positive self-leadership.
Right.
So how can you be a positive self-leader? Because whatever you are will project onto others. Then the second, once you build that self-awareness and self-modulation and self-management, you go to the second step, which is how do you handle stress and therefore increase engagement and produce flow. Flow might not be a term that everybody knows, but the point of flow is this, that when is it possible to create an environment where you lose the sense of space and time, you lose track of space and time. And it's possible, and each one of us is very different in terms of reaching flow. And when you have flow where you optimize your challenge based on your skills and you keep them always balanced, you tend to reach a state of flow. You are more productive, more satisfied, more engaged. But the point is that we need to work to make it happen. And because if my competencies are much higher than the task at hand, I get bored. But if my competencies are not enough to handle what's happening at the moment, then I get panicked and I can't perform. So this is the second. Now, let's go to the third. The third is, let's put everything together and build the positive relationships. How can we do it? How can we make sure that in relating to each other within an organization, we could actually be more productive?
Right.
And I give you an example. What I found out, for example, is that most of those who work in the hospitality industry have a need that is a need to be recognized and a need for recognition, and is the need that is least met. Now, how can you build positive relationships that way? Well, one technique, for example, a very practical one, is that I tell managers to put 10 marbles in their right pocket, and they need to make 10 contacts with their peers and other employees. But the contacts had to relate to meeting that need. So if employee number one has a need to be recognized, I will tell, you did a great job in turning in that report on time and was filled with valuable information. Thank you. And I move one marble from the right pocket to the left pocket. And I don't leave my workplace until all the marbles are in the left pocket.
Nice. If it was me, I would do it with M&M peanuts and just fatten up.
Yeah, that'd be
all day long. Yeah.
That's because you'd be dropping all your marbles, Glenn.
Yeah, that's true. I lost all my marbles years ago. I can't even handle it. But I do love the idea of recognizing people. It goes such a long way. And I was just saying this the other day. I forget the I forget the exact quote, but it's something along like, one compliment could feed you for days, right? So it really boosts up people and makes them feel good. And the cost of saying something nice to somebody is zero. That's the type of stuff that's basic, but really helps create that sense of engagement. Right, Sandro?
Absolutely. And it's so simple. And I don't know why we don't do it. When I ask managers or leaders, I said, why don't you recognize them? And they said, well, they are there to do their job. So, the interaction happens only when they don't do their job. So basically, most of the feedback is negative because it's something that is missing.
That's right.
That becomes the focus, and obviously that in the long term cannot work.
No, and speaking as an expert here who's never worked in a hotel a day in his life, I would just like to throw out that I completely agree with you. And if you're constantly only bringing up the negative to people, then you're going to really create an atmosphere where they just want to go away or are going to become apathetic and shut down emotionally. So it's really critical to be able to say all those good things, because if I say 10 good things to you in a row, then if I tell you in this particular case you sucked and here's why, then you're probably going to take it more in the spirit of career growth than I'm a useless human being.
Absolutely. And so we need to be aware of it. And that's what the CHO program is about integrating these interventions that are simple, are clear, but are not easy for many. So we need to practice them and integrate them. So we will spend a couple of days together to get immersed into all these techniques. As a matter of fact, they will have a resource book of over 100 pages, and then they have an intervention book, and then they have an implementation book. So basically, they implement the entire program to basically transition from a traditional organization to a positive organization. So basically, participants will be filled with tools that will allow them to make this transition and organically implementing these interventions. And in fact, not only we spend 2 days in Miami in person, but also we will continue online to follow participants in this process of integrating intervention until they work and we can measure them. Because then we can talk about KPIs and the change that occurs when these interventions are integrated.
Interesting, Doc. I spend my whole life living in a sea of I don't know what I don't know. And this sounds to me like this really gives you that understanding and fills in all of those things that you didn't realize to create something that may seem amorphous, complex, and impossible to pull off into do A, B, C, and D, and then you're going to really be able to start to make a difference.
And it's a win-win situation. Who loses? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel better. They feel better. The company is, just to give you an idea, now there are studies, but I mean, some are run by the Oxford Center for Wellbeing that have demonstrated over and over that people who are happy perform better. And the studies are pointing at, there are 3 of them, for example, they all point at 12-13% more profit. I mean, wow. Why wouldn't you want that? And that is sustainable because you are not stressing these people. You are making them happy and feel happy when they come to work, come to the workplace. They want to be there. They identify with it because their talents are put at work. Their values are aligned with what the company represents. Their purpose and their meaning is aligned as well. So it's just an extension of their being substantially. So why wouldn't you want to work for this company in the first place?
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Sandro. Great approach over there. And the fact of the matter is, if you are creating a sense of happiness and well-being amongst your team, they are not going to leave, as we've underscored here numerous times. Hey, Matt, good to see you. Now, I was in this keynote that I gave the other day, I cited statistics a little old, I think. It's probably a lot more now, but they were saying it costs $6,000 in hard and soft cost to replace an employee. My guess is it's over 10 by now. So think about every single employee that you can make a better emotional connection with by having these tools to be successful, how much money you're going to be able to save in your company while going to another one of your points, Sandro, reducing that stress and making it easier for you to deal with all of that kind of stuff as well.
Absolutely.
And let's also throw in the flow zone. And when you've eliminated all that stuff, you're able to concentrate more and be able to have less things in your life that are holding you back from achieving that flow zone, which can sometimes be difficult to get into.
I feel like we need Glenn. You need to attend so that we can work on your flow.
Yeah, that's really good too. Yeah, every time you say flow, I keep thinking "Kiss My Grits" from Alice back in the 1970s. Sorry, nobody at this point is going to get that particular reference.
But think about all the digital distractions, and we work on that as well, because the average time wasted in digital distractions at work is 2 hours. Okay.
Wow.
I've done some work on digital well-being and digital detoxing. Actually, I have even a little book on Amazon. But my point here is the cost is enormous, and it's not just the moment in which you receive that text and you reply. You were doing something, you were engaging in a task. Now, to go back to that task, the time that is wasted is way beyond the time that you read a text and you reply. So you disconnect. So my point here is that we can have a great relationship with our digital devices. And please, I mean, I am the first to tend to be addicted to them. But my point is, can we bring some self-awareness into it? And when you feel good at work, you do not feel you depend on that piece of plastic and metal. Okay, you can connect to your own wireless system and you feel happy doing so. And so even that, it's very important, because with that you cannot create flow. How can you be in a state of flow if you are constantly distracted? By the way, the frequency of distraction is 180 seconds. So every 180 seconds, we have a digital distractions. And we lose overall 2 hours every single day at work.
Yeah, that's incredible. And Gaston was saying human contact in that last thing that came up. My theme, Sandro, for this year plays right into what you're talking about. It's making sure our people connect with people. And we've been saying this for years, but it's more important than ever before. And it's more important than ever before because you hoteliers out there in Mass are freaking awesome at what you do. You've created such great products over there that you can't really necessarily differentiate on products. It has to be about the people and helping them create those experiences, those memories. And you're not going to be able to do that unless your people are happy. Right, Sandro?
Absolutely. And again, remember that happiness is not always is managing your emotions, especially the negative ones, and rebounding much faster than in the past. That is what it is. Experiencing all of them, but being able to be in charge, not to be a victim of your thoughts and your emotions.
Right. Now, like when I was at the fish show for New Year's Eve, I was happy. I was having a great time. But that's not how I spend most of my life. I try to be content and find a place of emotional balance. And that sets the stage for happiness. Like I'm sitting here in a hotel room in the middle of Nevada. Well, actually on the state line of Nevada and California. And I'm not super happy, but I don't feel any depression. I just feel normal and good about myself. I'm going to be seeking out some happiness later today with maybe a good hike or something like that. But being happy all the time is not realistic. It's about creating a framework from you to feel content in your life so you can deliver happiness to others and make them feel more connected. Or at least that's my opinion. What do I know? Susie, you got anything? Oh, sorry, Sandra.
What I really love is just looking at the fact that retention has been a key piece that I've been focused on within our industry, that we need to retain our people.
Right.
But many times we don't necessarily think about the level of depth. And what I really appreciate with Sandro is his in-depth level of research when it comes to the interventions and the best practices, that he's able to then help translate that and give these tools of practice to help our industry professionals now go back and take action. And then it's not just we're going to come to Miami for 2 days for a conference in February, and we're going to go through this workshop and learn these tools, but he's going to guide you for 4 more online sessions to help make sure done these interventions, you've applied this practice, and you've come back and you've talked about it so that you can see that measured level of results, which is different than what most programs offer. And I am thrilled to be able to have Sandro here to do that with us.
Sandro, that's freaking awesome. I love that idea because you're getting so much information in a 2-day period, which is phenomenal. And you're going to walk away with all these great tools. But at the same time, it's hard to remember everything and internalize everything. So by giving these checkups, you're able to help people get over those humps that they've forgotten and really create a better workplace environment for everybody. Sandro, got any final thoughts before we wrap up and tell people how to register again?
I want to make sure that we are clear that what we are teaching is positive organizational processes. So really, a CHO is able to plan, create, and manage positive change and generate benefits and opportunities for the well-being of employees, customers, stakeholders, and organizations. That's what it is. So it's important to get this point, and whoever decides to come and join us, make sure that you roll up your sleeves, because we are going to do some heavy lifting together.
Awesome. And I just want everybody to know we're not getting a cut of any of this. We just want you to be much better prepared to fight the challenges that are coming in 2025. You already know it's hard to keep pushing those rates out there. You already know it's expensive to have a great staff. Well, by making sure that you take this class, you're going to retain that staff, add profitability to your company, and hey, maybe get yourself a little bit closer to getting another promotion over there too. Sandro, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Suzanne, before we wrap up, what's your one big takeaway from today?
Listen, I think there's an opportunity with the new year, and this is why I was so excited about having him on for the first week. You have an opportunity to address the changes within your business organizational culture for this next year. Embark upon this experience and journey, not only for your own personal well-being, but for the well-being of your employees, so that in general, hospitality can deliver better employees and a better experience overall for everyone, so that we can be the industry of choice where people want to come and work for us. And this is that one step with that sense of tools that we're able to help provide for you.
Excellent. I love it. And be on the lookout in the next week or so. I'm going to be running an interview I did with the developers of the Dream Inn and their latest project, La Bahia. And I did that from a 1960s era Volkswagen van.
Ooh,
so not going to want to miss that particular show. Tomorrow night, Friday Night Audit, I'll be in Reno. She'll be not there because I think you're going to be on the highway. And we've got people from California, people from Jersey, I think it's looking like. So it should be good. And two great guests. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, 11 a.m. Hawaii time, and I think 5 a.m. Taipei time. So get up early if you're over there in Taiwan. All right, everybody, remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
follow your passion.
See you guys later next week with more live shows.